Tell me your name, what you're doing right now, and kind of what you want out of life.
For me, so Paul Buitrago. I'm a commercial lender, but I also run a team of lenders. So I'm manager of commercial lenders for small businesses in the Metro DC area. What do I want out of life? What I want out of life is just, of course, you want happiness, but I also understand. I also understand that part of happiness is understanding the struggle, and sometimes the sweet isn't sweet without the bitter, right? So if you only have, times where you're only laughing, you don't have sadness, do you really appreciate when you're laughing?
Absolutely.
So it's understanding the yin and yang of life as well.
That's good.
And, just understanding how I can leave something for the future, right? To have a purpose of when Paul's not here anymore, I can say that either whether it's my legacies with my children or business or family members or, other friends, that, this world is a better place because Paul was in it. Or I know there is a God because Paul was in it. Kind of that kind of aspect is what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then for me, it's to live every moment to the fullest, right? Whether I'm sitting here or I'm sitting with my kids or I'm sitting with a client or I'm sitting by myself in the car, that I'm enjoying the moment, right? I'm enjoying the fact that I have a heart that's beating, right? So it's me always having some kind of gratefulness, no matter what it is, because no matter what, if you live in the United States, you should be grateful, right?
Absolutely.
I don't care if you're the bum on the street or the guy that's in a penthouse. You should be grateful that you live here because there's so much worse that could be.
Absolutely.
And so that understanding and then teaching and being an example of that understanding to the rest of the people around me is kind of like what I want out of life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? Yeah, the human spirit, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned it, but I didn't mention this. I got an email one time, and a boss of mine printed it off one time. A supervisor printed it off one time, and he gave it to me. And I still have it today, and I saved it on electronically, But this is one thing I want to share, is that there was an article written to kill an American. Anybody who would kill an American. So an Australian responded to it, and he said, just in case you saw the article to kill an American, I want to let you know what an American is. And he started to go on. American can be black and white and Indian and Cherokee and this and that, and basically named every species of human being or every race of human being on the planet. And said because the essence of what it means to be an American is the spirit of freedom. I said, oh, that's it. That's exactly it. We all just want to be free.
Sure.
So
Definitely.
You have this bully who wants to steal your resources, your money, your value, your all this stuff, right? Talking about the British Army at the time, that these colonists were like, we just want to be left alone.
Right.
Just leave us alone. I don't know how much they owed back to Britain for sending them there and helping them set up, and people were dying left and right and getting diseases, and Indians kind of taught them how to live, and not die here. And, they built what was the 13 colonies, and then they said, you know what? We want to be free from you guys. And they said, no, we still want to steal your resources. And they said, no, we'd rather die. Right? And that's basically what it is. They wrote up some paper, Declaration of Independence. We find it self-evident that we were all made by one creator that we have no idea, haven't seen his face yet, but we're free.
Yeah.
And we're willing to fight you for it. So they sent all their Marines and Navy SEALs, and they had the biggest army at that time in the world. That's like going against the United States Army now and say, with our pitchforks and pistols, we're going to take you out. All the Navy SEALs and, Marines are laughing like, yeah, right. And then they lose because what we're fighting for is our life, our freedom, our everything.
Right.
You can't take that from a person.
That's exactly right.
If they're willing to fight for it.
Right.
But it's hard.
They had something better to fight for.
They had something better to fight for, their freedom, that essence that they knew who they were and they knew what they were fighting for, so they won. And a lot of people lost. That's the heartbreaker. A lot of people lost. And then blacks and Indians were enslaved in America and whoever else. And now everybody is, by a monetary system that people have no idea how to get out of.
Right.
So that's something I'm really passionate about, is to help people understand this monetary system, how money works, what the value of money is, and more important than that, what the value of a human being and a life is, and knowing how to, program your brain, right?
Yeah.
That stuff's powerful. Let me go through some of these. So, all right. So, who's the most inspirational singer that you can think of?
Inspirational singer.
Yeah, or good music, or band, or musician.
So for me, I don't know if I have just like one singer.
A couple, or whatever. Whoever comes to mind.
To me,
because I know you're not going to think of all of them. You're going to be like, oh, I should have said.
I do have one singer that I guess I resonate the most with, that I really enjoy. That really, I just like his lyrics. I like the type of music. I like him as an individual. Is Garth Brooks.
Oh yeah,
country,
nice.
Right? So, for me, I wasn't a big country fan. I didn't like country for a long time, and then in high school, I was introduced to it, and I was like, oh, I like what this guy's saying. Right? I didn't see that coming, and I just like how he tells a story, and it's not very complicated. It's not super deep. It's just enough for me. And then Garth Brooks was the one that kind of like introduced it to me, and then I see it a lot in country music.
Yeah.
And then, but I would say Garth Brooks is probably most inspirational. I like the things he sings. Yeah, Unanswered Prayers, and whether it's the dance. Just he speaks about life in his music a lot.
Yeah. And everybody does. I think music, that's what it is like we're trying to get it out, but that's what resonates with you more, and that style of storytelling that he's doing, because I filled something out the other day, and I was like, man, hip-hop is always number one to me. Hip-hop, classical,
You've always been like that,
and then I'm like, blues, jazz, love all this stuff. The only one I left unchecked was country. I was like, because it's so slow. I feel like, I'm watching grass grow. But there are times where I will like country, like the one song, American Soldier. American Soldier. I was like, it's all, it's those mirror neurons that they've discovered and tell us about, that we relate to other people. Like when the father comes home from war and the kid, and you're sitting there crying, you're like, I don't even know these people.
That's exactly
it's those mirror neurons that we relate, or when somebody gets kicked and you're like, oh, I can feel that,
Yeah.
But it's good, and that's what music does, is pull out those emotions of the story that they're telling. And I think I've been told that humans just love stories, and I find it to be true, because I'm like, oh wow, I'm all engrossed in the story, and I'm like, why am I listening to this stupid story? Because it's a story, and I want to get the resolve, I guess.
Well, the other thing I've noticed too, for storytelling, it's a story where you get an unexpected turn. You're like,
that was awesome. Yeah,
I love that.
You gotta watch this movie. Then you're telling everybody.
I think Garth Brooks does a nice job with that in his music. Yeah. That's why I definitely like that. But I've realized, because I've seen some people are moved more by music than others. But I think it moves everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And something I've learned about myself, and I think we also learn more about ourselves as we grow older, and then also when we have children. I don't know how much you've noticed that, but like my son is almost like my twin, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing that's interesting about it is that the people who study our children today, whether it be physicians or therapists or doctors or teachers, they're better than the ones that we had, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so, because there's more diagnosis on certain things. So our son, for example, we didn't know if he was probably somewhere on the spectrum, because he was just very active. Now we think he might have ADHD, and we try not to focus too much on he's got something. But one thing that we did know,
you're saying you think that's what your son has?
Yeah. And so, and I'm not saying that I had that, but one thing that we did discover.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We did know that he needed some help with certain things. And what we figured out through the process, there's something called auditory processing disorder, right? Which is almost like the opposite of having a photographic memory, right? So I realized I'm a very big visual learner, but I'm the complete opposite.
So he doesn't remember a lot of what he sees, basically.
What he hears.
What he hears, audio, okay.
Or he's got to concentrate so much to be able to learn it, and it's got to come in slowly. I'm the same way. I can communicate with somebody, and I've actually gotten down where I can listen to somebody when they're talking really fast. But if I'm really trying to learn a concept or something, and I've got to slow it down and concentrate and listen, close my eyes, make sure I'm not getting distracted. So I've got some of the same issues. Or my brain is thinking or talking to itself inside, so I don't listen as well.
Yeah.
So
because you're listening to the internal communication.
Communication versus external communication.
I think I got that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I realized that with music too, I've got that problem. So one thing that I've really struggled with music is the fact that I can't listen to the song, and if I listen to it 100 times, I still don't know the lyrics.
Yeah.
There's some people who can listen to the song 3 times and they're like, I know the lyrics, they got it all down, right? And a lot of times I'll listen, I'm like, what did they say? What was that word? And I know everybody's felt like that sometimes because of just the way that people are, their dialect and everything, and how quickly they're moving.
Right.
But I realized for me, country works really well for me because it's slow. And listen to it. And I got that when you were talking about how it's really slow. I'm trying to get I was like, your brain probably picks up a lot
Oh my
faster on the auditory.
Right.
And you're probably like feeling it, you get the energy, you know. So like,
That's why I rap
could see
fast
why
now.
you
I'm like, man, I rap a lot faster lately.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
That is an awesome skill to have, and it makes you enjoy certain type of music more than
Absolutely.
I would.
Yeah.
Because your brain is able to process it in a different way.
Right.
I found the same thing with my wife. Mary's the same way. She's like, she likes certain music. She loves Dave Matthews. Like
Yeah.
Dave Matthews Band is like.
So do I. I don't know who wouldn't. There's just
She's
all
like-
the sounds.
She's
that
like,
they
it
just-
moves her. Like,
Yeah.
it's a spiritual like, thing. for her,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so, and I watch it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe how much it was. And she can listen to the same song a million times.
That's
and
me.
be like,
Yeah.
And it will bring her back and bring her joy. If she's depressed, she'll listen to one song. I think it's called, you would think I would know the name of it by now.
That's the
I don't
memory
know.
part, right?
I don't know.
Like, oh, man, I
That's
can't
little
process
details.
it.
That's a
somewhere
little
in there.
details. Yeah, right. That's auditory
Yeah.
processing part. But either way, like what I do learn from that is that there's a song, and I'm like, I don't know if there's any song or any music
Yeah.
that would change me that much, right? But I
Right.
think it's pretty cool that I've seen that from people. Anyways,
Yeah.
going back to like who's your top musician or inspirational musician? Mine is Garth Brooks, but I've noticed that other people probably have it more than I do.
Right,
Like
right.
my wife, I've never seen anything with like her and Dave Matthews where it's like a spiritual thing for her. I
Yeah.
took her to a concert for the first time since we've been married for 12 years this year.
Yeah.
And it like, she had tears in her eyes when she was listening to like his music. And I don't know if I've ever cried when I've heard a song.
Yeah.
I feel it and I like
Yeah.
it and I get pumped up. The other one is like, you know how everyone loves Despacito, which just came out? Which
No,
is,
I've
like,
never heard it. My brother told me about it the other day. I was like, man, I gotta look that up. I still have it.
Number one Spanish song.
I gotta go check
I
it
think
out.
it's like number one song in history. I've listened to it literally 150 times, and it makes me, dude. I was washing dishes the other day.
Yeah.
I had my earphones on, and I was like, and I'm not a great dancer, but it made me want to move. And I was moving my body. Have you heard the song Suavemente? Suavemente is a very popular like Spanish song that everyone like. If it's at a club or if it's like on at a party,
What
people
is
jump up
Suave
and
what?
they want to dance.
Suave what?
Suavemente.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good, but Despacito is like, if Despacito means slowly, right?
Right.
It is phenomenal. The beat, it's like the number one YouTube video in history.
Yeah.
And it just came out in January.
Yeah.
Because they've done it in so many languages now, and they play it all over the world.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not just like the United States. Even though like Justin Bieber just came out and he kind of modified the song and sings it with them,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like a number one in the United States.
I have to do me something to it. Like Panda. People were like, man, you should do a version. And I haven't yet. You know what I'm talking about, Panda?
I don't know.
Okay, so Future is like a newer artist. I know he came in the last year or two. I don't know. I don't even care for him, and he's really dumb, and the lyrics don't mean anything. He's like, but the beat is just hot.
Yeah.
It's sick. You know, it's that trap that's what's popping
That's
now,
what's
you know?
hilarious to that.
Yeah. So he's like, but like, you got Spanish and Christian versions and all, like everyone's done a version. They're like, man, you should spit one, you know? I'm like, okay. And I just haven't yet. Maybe I'll get around to it now that, you know, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But it's good to catch trends, I think, like that and put your 2 cents in when you're someone like me that likes to put a message out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've seen enough in life where I know that we don't know anything. And
Right.
if I can like get all the smartest people to start throwing some 2 cents in, everybody's gonna be like, I'm as smart as this dude. He got PhDs and this and that, you know. It doesn't matter.
It's
We're
just
all
an
human
experience,
beings, and
right.
yeah, it's just a different experience that we're all going through. Don't feel like you're dumber or weaker or whatever. Everything's a gift. Oh, so good. Let me tie it into this because I wanted to address this
Yeah.
with your boys. So I understand that, right? And I have weaknesses, and I have what a doctor may classify as a disorder or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all those things are for something.
I
You're
agree.
not a mistake, right?
No, I
So that's what you need to teach your kids, and what I teach my kids when they start finding out their weaknesses or insecurities or unaverage things about them. You know, who cares about being average? Just be you, and understand why God gave you those things.
Right.
You understand why God gave you that, then you'll know why. Your purpose. It'll all start to make sense. But don't worry about trying to fit into some other idea of what it is to be a human being. You're already a human being. If
Don't
you're a
listen
man,
to
you're a man.
society.
Don't listen to
Society tries to
society.
say like, this is the way we're gonna push all our kids through our education
Exactly.
program. That doesn't mean we're right about it.
Right, absolutely.
That doesn't mean it's the only way you're gonna learn, or the only way you're gonna
Absolutely.
get back to the world, right?
Exactly. So I feel like with the way the school system is, I'm so against it. absolutely 100% think it's so distracting and unproductive is not the word, but I can't think of it right now. To how you learn, it's an obstacle.
Yeah.
It's not helpful and catering to the learning process. Because, but I get it's like, what are we gonna do then? The teacher might say,
Sure,
you know,
yeah,
it's like I don't know, but it's not what we're doing. We need to break it up. We need to get more teachers. We need to like listen to John Taylor Gatto. He said a lot. He studied history, and he sees the schemes of what schooling was.
Yeah.
It's not to say that all the people in the schooling system are part of the conspiracy or this, you know, the evil side of it. It's just that it's a status quo now. It's like, well, it's just what we got. If we can make something better, you know, that's why we make bottles with tops and stuff with lids, with straws, and we innovate all the time. Let's get this education innovated.
Of course,
and
it should be the most important thing.
Exactly, and teach the monetary system, and teach financial intelligence. So they teach to read, write, so we can communicate, and arithmetic. Numbers are just important as reading letters and communicating letters, right? So once you know how to do that, you can get the stuff that you want in life because this world's set up in a monetary system, which is not bad. I would listen to all these people and I'd be like, oh, the evil system and the evil bankers. No, they're really smart.
Yeah.
But they wanted what everyone else wanted, control and stacks of money, and they got it. They could print it themselves.
Right.
And they control governments. Amschel, Rothschild, or whatever, some said, I think it was him, said, he who controls the money controls, or he who controls the money controls all things, or something like that. That's part of somebody else's quote. I just messed that all up. I'll find the quotes and I'll piece that together, you know. But he said, but basically to understand that when you own the money system, if you can print the money, you own the government that uses that money.
100%.
Because you print it. And now, you know, and bankers are smart. They're the rich people that Robert Kiyosaki and, you know, and the Rich Dad education teaches. The government wants to steal the rich people's money. The rich people are smart. That's how they got all that money. So they want to protect it. So they hire legislators, they write laws, whatever, to protect theirs, to keep them off theirs. That's why there's so many, you know, loopholes so they can have things. So if everybody had enough of that knowledge, not to control the country, to control the world, to join that, you know, debacle of a war for what? Stacks of money, paper, accounts on a, you know, a screen. Forget all that. Focus on what really matters. We don't know anything. Out in the space world is so big. Zoom down into this little Earth. What do you want to do with it? What do you want out of life? That's really what matters. Now, if you want that, you got to understand money. You got to understand how to communicate what you want. Because if you don't, you're going to be bashing people over the head. You're going to be hitting them with your car. You're going to be moving. It becomes animalistic.
Yeah.
You know, we were given these smart brains so we can communicate with words, not fists and weapons. And you know.
I'm convinced over time, all the wars and everything, they're caused by ignorance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and even if you do have the knowledge, if your neighbor is ignorant, you can still
all this stuff treating this
Good.
Fantastic. Getting a little, wanting a little small treat or anything?
Nah, I'm good.
I appreciate it. Actually, if you can bring me a water, that'd be great.
Water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bottle or glass?
Bottle would be great. No, ignorance. Because even if you take it to the Revolutionary War, the United States and the colonists, they knew what was right. And they were, because they knew that they wanted to be free and that it wasn't fair that they would work, and all of a sudden they've got to send 20% of whatever they make to a country that's hundreds of miles away. Why? Because they were there first?
Yeah.
Why? Like, if you...
Who was really there first? Anyway, right?
Yeah, right. And so, but because that country was ignorant or prideful or whatever it is, they said, no, thank you. They decided that, no, we're going to take what's ours and they're going to do the wrong thing, and they try to steal from the people. And that's ignorant to think that because I'm here or because I'm more powerful, that I should be able to take from the guy who has less.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Absolutely.
So what does it do? It causes a war.
Yeah.
And I think every fight and even like when you get to politics, I think a lot of the fighting in politics is opinions and not facts, and not because you can back it up.
Absolutely.
And so it has to do with ignorance. How about if we all came to the table and be like, hey, I'm a Republican, hey, I'm a Democrat, and I admit I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to sit here and and we might have fundamental differences, but let's just concentrate on more of the stuff that we agree on and stop putting everything that's where we disagree on the news and saying like that's what divides us. We talk about so much more what divides us and not enough what brings us together.
Absolutely.
And it's so sad.
Absolutely.
Because all it does is brings the bad side of every individual life.
Yeah.
I mean, even what's going on right now that we see that happened in Charlottesville, literally there were not more than 10,000 people there. If there were, that's crazy. But it affected 350 million people because they viewed it on TV.
Right.
And everything that happened down there is bad and disgusting and horrible.
Yeah.
But it does not define who this country is.
Right.
So,
or who we are as a human race.
As a human race.
You know, but when you have people, and this is what I realized, this is why I was like, oh, the bankers, you know. When you have people that are smart, that know how to control societies, that know how to do this, they want to keep that power. That's why I always say the knowledge gap turns into the wealth gap, which turns into the power gap.
Sure.
And humans want control. So once you learn how to control a people, you realize, well, if we keep them dumb, we can stay on top, and our children and the children's children, and we can just make this, you know, we're part of the upper class and you guys are down here. Instead of teaching them to rise above all this fighting. And then you get into CIA, you know, what's it called, COINTELPRO and things where they would hire groups to beef like the anti-white supremacy, or maybe they got the white supremacy. I don't care all that. I'm not trying to, you know, get into that. I just want people to understand there are people who have more knowledge than us that want us to fight.
Yeah,
that benefit from us fighting.
And there can be some of that too. I mean, and some of it is like you said, like we don't learn a lot of things in the school system that we probably should learn.
Right, absolutely.
And maybe they built the system that way intentionally to do that. But regardless, the education that you want is still out there, right? You can go get the books.
It's all
free. There's plenty of
much
knowledgeable people who learned that. See, for me, they didn't teach it to me in school, right?
Yeah.
Even when I got to Maryland and I started studying economics, I was like, you guys aren't telling me what I really wanted to learn, because like I was telling you over the phone, there was a drive for me to understand how money works, right? Because I felt like there was a scarcity problem. There wasn't enough for me, and I wanted to understand why. And why did I feel like my parents couldn't get ahead? Or why is it that some people had more houses and more cars and nicer cars? And why couldn't we be driving a BMW?
Right.
And if we did, why did we have to borrow so much money to do it? And how did it all work? And how did money work? And why do certain people make more money than others? Is it really because they spent more hours than other people? And I didn't really notice that. I didn't see that, you know, somebody who was an attorney worked more hours than somebody who was a doctor, you know, or
coffee shop
person, or an owner of a restaurant. Right. You know, like we grew up in a place where I remember your dad owned a business, he had a painting business, but he also opened up a restaurant. My dad opened up a restaurant. I was like, why do they have to work on the weekends and other people don't? Or why does my dad have to come home at 10 o'clock at night and they don't? Or why did my mom have to, you know, hustle and like drop us off at your house and then go sell another care and do meetings at night? You know, like, I wanted to understand all that because I wanted to control it, you know, in a way. And then that's where my fascination of money and not necessarily wanting to have boats or like helicopters on, but like how it worked was such a key element. And I remember when I was at Quince Orchard High School, I was like, what classes do you guys offer other than this English and math or algebra and calculus, which isn't telling me anything about money? Exactly. What else do we have? And they did have courses of business, and not everybody had to take it, right? There was a small percentage of us that did. And even when I did take money in banking, which by the way, at Quince Orchard, it was an awful class. It was like, they taught you how to like, this is a checkbook and this is your bank account. Like, I could have learned that in 5 minutes. Like, why are we taking 2 months to learn
from the person that works at the bank and they opened up an account and she tells you all that.
She can tell you all that like really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas when I took money in banking in college, they told me about the monetary system and how money supply worked, and the history of like us being on the gold standard and then how we got taken off the gold standard. And like, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then there was so much more to learn that was free. I had books at the library, online, that I learned a lot more and having conversations with other economists. Right. And so my whole point is like, all of it comes from like me wanting to learn that versus if we were to teach it to a bunch of kids, we were like, I don't want to learn this. It's hard to motivate them to want to learn it.
Right.
So, but I agree with you that we should put it in our systems because at least if you get like a basic knowledge, now you can control it because money does control it. Right. And even though like I'm a banker and I have a good understanding of it, I realize what it is, like who controls it, who doesn't. Like our government controls it.
Right.
And I do think there is enough people who understand it that I don't know if it's like there's a malice behind it or to try to keep people ignorant.
Right.
It's out there. If people want to learn how it works, this is what it is. And the reality of what it comes down to is money supply is a tax.
Yeah.
And so if you understand taxes and you don't like taxes and you think that's a form of way that the government steals from you, then you better understand money because it's just another way of taxing.
So you can protect
the government could be like Donald Trump is president of the United States right now. He could tell you right now, I'm going to cut your taxes in half. And everybody who's like against that is like, yeah, that's awesome. But what he's not telling you is like, I'm going to double the money supply.
Right.
And he's taxing you in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, how so, Paul? Well, Donald Trump is going to say, I'm going to double. He's going to fool you to thinking that he's helping you by lowering taxes because you understand that concept of like, oh my gosh, my paycheck. They just took, 30% of it, and I only took 50% of it. But then all of a sudden,
I love the game, man. It's great.
And then he's going to say, I'm going to double the money supply. So now the cost of this water goes from $2 to $4 in the course of 3 years, very slowly. So
you don't see it. Yeah,
but you know what? Now the money that you make is not worth as much because what you could buy for $2 today, you have to spend $4 the next day, 2 years down the road. If you still make the same money, don't you realize that that's just another way of someone taxing you by increasing the price of goods? And so that's what money supply is. And to me, the basic understanding, like you can study it because there's so many different ways of looking at it. There's everybody has a different point of what their understanding is. But at the end of the day, to really understand the fact that is the government through the monetary system as far as banks, how they control banks, what banks open, how much banks can leverage themselves, and how much money we print to give those banks so they can give to the people. The whole understanding of the fact that they control it as far as like we're not on a gold standard, there's not a fixed amount. Should let everybody know that we don't control that tax, right? So like if we believe that the tax is controlled by like, we say 30% of our paycheck is taxed, and all of a sudden we're good to go because we control how much the government takes from us, we really don't because this is a back door of taxing. And so that's why
the money supply.
This is why the whole point of like understanding the fact that we're not on a fixed gold standard, where like, we're not building up money, or the fact that we are building up money, people should understand that there's always inflation, and if we're not really testing it correctly, there could be a lot more inflation than we really believe. And the reality is, what you realize, at least for me in my study of understanding of like inflation is it's a theory that we're still trying to understand too. So when people are saying like inflation is growing by 1% or 2%, it's true, but we don't understand why it grows really fast and why it doesn't. And the Fed is trying to figure that out too, which is why it's like, it's not like it's so evil in the fact that people are sitting up there and being like, we know how we're going to tax the people of the United States. It's like, it's a theory, we're still trying to figure it out, so it's not as malicious as people think right? So when you go and learn and understand, be like, no, it's complicated, it's messy. And just understand the basic theories of it, then we can all kind of like vote on like which way we should control it. Because right now, as a banker, we're in a society where we had low interest rate for a long time. And we were in a state where the government helped us out of this huge bailout, right, to push off a depression. Which, looking back at it, when I was in 2008, I was against doing it because I'm more of a libertarian mindset where I'm like, let things fall where they fall, and it'll bounce back better if it bounces back. But now looking back, I was like, there was less pain the way that they did it, but I think we might have to pay for it in a very long term. So pick your poison. Do you want to get, like smacked down and hit and then bounce back from it? Or do you want to like just be pushed around for 10 to 15 years and pay it back? You know what I mean?
Wow, that's crazy, man. But yeah, with knowledge, you look back at things like, man, if I would have known then what I know now, and that's kind of the point of this too, is like to help with that. You know what I mean? Because like you said, in 2008, you didn't know, and you were like, then you got more information as it passed by, and you're like, I don't know, maybe it was good the way it happened.
Maybe it's not too bad. So, and then it goes back to like politicians, and I'm like, neither one of you know if it's the right way. You guys are trying to make the best decision there.
Right.
You guys talk about it like you got to take that to the house, and that's the only way that it's going to work.
Right.
We're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's all be humble for a minute and just say we're all trying to figure it out, do the best we can. Bring to the opinions to the table, and like we'll take it forward. And let's just, at the end of the day, do the best we can.
Yeah. And like you said, being humble, and understanding that in this video that I heard the other day, Ty is talking about the extreme ideology, the black and white thinking, and being so extreme to where I'm with this party or I'm with that party. Yeah, for the most part, I resonate with this party because these are their values. But when they make a decision here and I don't agree with, am I confident in myself or, willing and humble enough to say, well, nah, I don't rock with that.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily rock with the other side or whatever, but I have this different view. Now I'm with the independent party, or whatever. It's just each individual case, I think it's just different. And then it's the knowledge we have at that point in time in our life, so, and I guess what we want, there's just too many factors. There's so many factors of a human being and emotions and things like that.
Definitely.
But I know the time's getting there, but you got to go now?
I'm all right. I'll send on some. It's okay. I promoted my one of my lenders to vice president, and so we've been putting off taking him out for a celebratory lunch. But he wanted to get this one deal approved and done with before we went to go celebrate. So we'll take care of it.
Okay. All right. So one question, if we run out of time, this one's really important: is what books do you think you would recommend that you've read or heard about or whatever that you think might be really good for a good curriculum or understanding about life, how to be a better human, whether it be finance or spiritual or health or anything like that. A couple books that come to mind.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Good reads.
The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, really good book. Kind of teaches you about wealth. It's religious, but it's not in the fact that it talks about tithing. And the lady who writes, she's a Christian woman. She went through very different denominations of Christianity. I think she was born Catholic and with these different things. But she studied the law of tithing and how tithing is such an essential part. And it's not tithing like I looked at it as a tithing as like, well, I can't really define with just one church, so I don't want to just give 10% to this one church because I don't want to do everything that they're doing here.
Right.
So I started thinking like, well, maybe let me just donate to different organizations, and that's my way of tithing, giving back to God's hands. But she kind of talks about how it's where you get your spiritual
where you get
food.
fed. Yeah, absolutely.
That's where you should be tithing, and I learned a lot from that there. And she also talked about how goal setting and all that. So I really highly recommend The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. The Great Awakening from Tony Robbins. Listen to that book, and it's just, I think to me, it changes your mindset. It taught me a lot about my brain and how my brain is so special, and the fact that, and everybody's, the fact that we can trigger it by different emotions, right? Like it's the one thing that you can be happy and sad. It's the only animal per se. Like this is how we're different from animals in a way.
Right.
Is that we can feel sadness, we can feel happiness, we can be angry, we can feel prideful, we can feel humbleness, all by changing your emotions. And he does that in that book. He teaches you and how to take action. There's so many people who are like, I got this dream, I want to go do this, but they never take the action to do that. Right. He kind of breaks it down in why you don't and how to do that. Yeah. So I think that's a great book because of that. And I would say a big thing for what's been critical, especially with me and Mary, was finding Dave Ramsey. Yeah. And he's got a book called Total Money Maker.
Yeah.
And I think we've always talked about how that's a big thing that was missing in school. They didn't teach you how to do personal finances, right? And I think he gives a very broad spectrum of how to do personal finance on a very basic way. And I think it's a great way for just anyone to start, just because I think there's so many people who are ignorant to how to do their personal finances. And he's right. It's essentially the whole theory is you live on less than what you make. Yeah. And that's the goal, and that's the only way to really build up wealth. Because not everyone's going to be a great genius and inventor and build up a company. Yeah. And so, and until I do, I need to live by those rules. And if I do something great that causes to change a lot of millions of people's lives, and I become a multi-millionaire that way, then great. But until then, I make X, Y, Z dollars, and I should be living way below my means.
Right.
And that doesn't mean like I'm unhappy because I don't have a Ferrari, but I have an Acura MDX that's from 2007, and it's probably worth $10,000.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I have that car because
Yeah.
it makes me feel good, and I like it, and I'm humble for. I appreciate
what it is. Yeah.
Right, because I have a car. Right.
Yeah.
I have got clothes on my back. I'm sitting here in one of the best areas in the whole country.
Yeah.
You know, in the Metro DC area, and so I'm very fortunate. You know, I got money in my bank account to pay for my gas, and I know I'm going to have lunch today and dinner tonight.
Yeah.
You know, I should be thankful for those things. So, those 3 books I would highly recommend. Awaken the Giant, 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, and Tony Moneymaker.
All right, so I remember somebody was mentioning Dave Ramsey is good for like working class and middle class America. That
Sure.
mindset, him and Susie Orman.
Yeah.
And then Rich Dad. Yeah, have you read his books?
Yeah,
Rich
yeah,
Dad,
I read his, yeah.
So Robert Kiyosaki is more for like the rich man, the rich person thinking.
I agree with that.
And I understand that now. So you agree with that as a banker? That was my question. And I understand that because, like you said, not everybody wants to go out and get rich. They just want to
Sure.
be happy, work at the coffee shop, work at the movie store, work at, a local establishment, just go home and eat some soup with the family or whatever.
That's right. They don't want to be
and
up
there's
at night.
nothing wrong
There's
with
nothing
that.
wrong with
Yeah, or
that.
play guitar.
There should be
or
a place for that in our society as
Absolutely.
well. Right.
And that's why I love your wife's favorite, right? Dave Matthews. Dave Matthews said, he said, if you love performing and you work at a coffee shop, $8 an hour, you're making your minimum wage, or you're making your whatever, and you do your performance at the end of the night, at the end of the week, or whatever, at nighttime, you're doing the thing that you love. What's better than that? That's life. That's what it's all about. But when you're not doing that and you're struggling to maintain it, I think we talked about this earlier, and I found it in myself of getting things done. I'll go to work and I'll be so frustrated, and then I'll get an interview done or get some production done or a song finished, and I'll be like top of the world, feeling great. And that's what it is knowing what you love to do and fitting that in your schedule. So one, you look forward to doing it, and then when you do it, you have that contrast of appreciation, where I always say, I'll liken it to this scenario, I always say, I like bad people because it helps me appreciate good people.
Right.
And understanding that yin and yang, like you were saying. Yeah, so knowing sometimes you have to bust it, you have to work hard, you got to be away from your family, you got to do stuff. But then later, some kid watches this interview and they're like, that's the answer. And then they read the book you recommended, that's it. And their life is changed forever.
Yep.
It doesn't get better than that.
I agree. I love that.
All right, so a couple more. Let me drop these. So your dream car. I guess you already have your, your dream car.
Dream car.
But as far as
if I had another, one of these days I've always loved the BMWs. I'm not a car fanatic. I always liked the way the BMWs looked. I think one day, but I told myself once I turned 40, and if I hit my goals, that I would probably buy a BMW, like a brand new, like one that's maybe a year or two old. It's never made sense to me to buy a brand new car because it depreciates so much in value.
Right.
Like, why am I not going to go buy a property and put it as my down payment?
Right.
Lose $30,000 in value in my car. I'm not that rich. Right?
Yeah.
I also enjoy the Teslas. I just got into one of the Teslas, the SUV one.
They look really nice. I've never seen that.
So you go inside, it's so cool. It's crazy. There's one guy who's the chairman of our bank, and he owns a couple of these buildings right here.
Yeah.
He has a Tesla, and that was the first Tesla I ever went inside. He showed me, and it's like big screen, like an iPad.
Yeah, that
right?
big screen's cool.
Kind of talked to me about how everything's just like automatic, how he charges it, all that. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool concept. But recently, one of my clients, he just bought the SUV one, and he showed me how it's really cool because the front of the windshield doesn't end; it continues all the way back. So it's almost feeling like a Jetson car. Like you're like
crazy. Yeah.
It is wild. Now one of the bad things is he's like you get so much more sun in the car because of that. So he's got these special visors that kind of help.
I was gonna say you have to be able to block it and cover it up or whatever.
Yeah, but he does open it up and it feels like very open, like you're outside, almost like a convertible feeling without having to be outside yet.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's crazy is that everything is pure automatic when you talk to it. So that's becoming a lot more popular with like Bluetooth and everything. Like you're like call this person, call that person, play this song, play that song, but it's just all automatic in that car with that.
That's cool. That's awesome.
The doors open up like this. So I like the Tesla. I would say the Tesla's probably the next car though.
All right, so we'll maybe go a couple more questions. So how many languages do you speak?
I speak 2 languages.
All right, and then English and Spanish, right?
English and Spanish.
All right, so how many countries have you been to?
I've been to 4 countries.
Yeah.
Actually, you can bring the check though. Okay. All right, four different countries.
Yeah.
5. I'm sorry, 5. I've been to Spain, Italy, Dominican Republic, and Mexico, the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, what kind of like a big regret? Do you have a big regret in your life that, man, I wish somebody would have told me and I could have learned that at a younger age?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if I have necessarily a regret.
Yeah.
I wish I would have learned things faster and younger. I wish I had myself to mentor myself.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Let me show you the shortcut.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole concept. I'm saying, like, if you did mentor yourself, what would you say? You know, what would you tell yourself? And at what age would you tell yourself that?
I would have grabbed myself in high school and I would have said, look, action matters more than knowledge.
Yeah.
And obviously knowledge helps you with action. I think.
And you're going to get that when you take the action.
Yeah. I wish I would have found the Dave Ramsey concepts when I was younger.
Yeah.
The thing that was tough about the Dave Ramsey concepts is that I'm a banker. I lend money for a living.
Right.
And he's totally against borrowing money, right? Because he's you're a slave to the lender. And
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a banker.
Yeah.
Commercial lender. I've lent millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I agree to that statement.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I would say that
But sometimes you have to be a slave to something to get what you want. Sometimes
that's true.
You
You got to leverage, right?
Yeah.
Because, and that's what I was going to talk to you a little bit about, like the difference between Dave Ramsey or like what Rich Dad Poor Dad teaches
Right.
is that you also have a risk factor. There's a gamble with everything in life. I mean, you gamble when you get up in the morning, you get in the car, and you go out, right? And so that's where like a lot of my faith comes in. I'm like, you know what? God says today's the day that I got to go. That was what my story was. You got to have a lot of faith and just go after it. But you can't be stupid and like gambling everything and be like, I'm going to take my whole bank account and just go play blackjack today. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
There's always gamble with leverage, and I am very conservative. I think maybe from being a background of a banker, that I think you only take a certain amount of healthy debt to be able to bank on becoming rich. And you gotta, whatever bet you make, be a certain percentage on it high.
Right.
Because if you're wrong, you're gonna suffer the consequences.
Absolutely.
As good as it can take you up, it can take you that much down on debt,
Yeah.
right? So that whole understanding, I would have taught that when I was younger, because I think I would have never taken on any college debt. College debt is not worth it.
Especially now, you can learn all that stuff. Just buy the book yourself, and
you can totally do that. Or there's just so many more programs out there that I realize that you get scholarships. There's thousands of scholarships. Like my kids, I'm saving for their college, and I'm going to pay for it, and I want to teach them. But I also know that there's so many scholarships out there, $500, $300, just based on where you are. There are websites out there. Can't remember the name of. There's one. Wish I would remember it, but you can look it up on Dave Ramsey. He'll tell you the website. Yeah. Apply for 1,000 scholarships, and if you get like half of them, you probably could pay for your college.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, bro.
And I was.
Hey, can you just take it now?
I got it, man. Yeah, sure. Don't worry about it. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, banker.
Yeah. My whole thing is, if somebody would have told me about that website, I would have spent time doing it. And the fact that, like, don't be afraid of rejection and mistakes. I was afraid. I spent so much time being afraid of rejection and mistakes, and what it was going to do to my ego and my confidence. Yeah. And I will say, having confidence is such an important thing for individuals, especially young individuals. Yeah. But confidence in knowing that if I fail or if I'm rejected, the world is so much bigger than what I know. Because something I learned later in life that I think brought me a lot of confidence, and it teaches you so much about like numbers and like people and like experiences in life, is this last concept that I came up with one day by myself. I realized, not by myself, but by just like thinking about it, pondering, there are 350 million individuals in this country, right? Roughly, around 300 million people. Yeah. But it's hard to grasp how many people there are and how many people you're going to meet.
Oh yeah.
And what I gathered was that if you meet 5 new people every day and shake their hand and understand who they are, that you will probably meet 50 to 100,000 people in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? That's nothing. If you think about it.
Crazy. Yeah.
50 to 100,000 people. That is if you ever go to FedEx Field or any kind of football stadium, you can fit about 100,000 people. So think about that for a second. The amount of people you will probably ever physically come in contact with or meet or truly understand fits in a football field. Now multiply that 100,000 by 10. That's 1 million.
Yeah.
So put 10 football fields next to each other. And now you start grasping 1 million.
1 million, yeah.
Now multiply it by 300. That's what this country is.
Yeah.
So now you start getting this grasp of how big the world is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're going to tell me one person.
Then I'm going to interview all those people?
Now you're going to tell me that.
I got to get busy, man.
But now when you start really mentally like understanding that, you start realizing like, okay, so the pretty girl in high school rejected me.
Yeah.
Does that mean, put it this way, I'll never forget. You and I went to Quince Orchard, and I think I pointed out to you, I was like, who's that girl over there? And there were a few girls that would be, like, in high school, there are probably about 5 or 10 girls that you might be attracted to.
Right.
Out of, like, maybe 100 girls, right? Depending on where you are, your stature is, and that sort of thing. And the point is that how many high schools are there, and how many pretty girls and, like, attractive girls? And then you start realizing, wait, it's not just being attracted to them. It's about their personalities, too, right? You talk to these 10 girls, there might be only one girl that's pretty and has a personality, right?
Exactly.
And then you start realizing the girl that you don't think is that attractive, but then you get the personality, you're like, man, they're becoming pretty as I talk to them, right?
Yeah.
So you're learning all these things in high school. If I would have taught myself back then and be like, it's not so much about the looks. Yeah, I do believe that you have to be
physically attracted. Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that they have to have a connection with you and a personality with you for you to be like, oh, I'm into them. But I shouldn't have been so afraid of rejection.
Yeah.
Right? I should have asked out 20 of the girls.
All of them.
That I, 20
see what happens. Ask them all.
Because you don't even.
That would be my advice to somebody seeking now, or my kids, or whoever. Just try them all.
Right.
Because rejected more.
The only way to fail is to not even try.
Yeah.
That's the truly way to fail, and that's the tragedy.
Yeah.
Right. So I would have told myself, take more risks, take more chances. Go get a job at a younger age. Go earn some money. Put some money in the stock market. See what happens. Because when you're young, that's when you can take a lot of risks. You need to take all those risks. Yeah. But even
especially when you got your parents to blanket you. And I think that's what America was. We got this system where if you fail, you'll still be able to eat.
That's right.
Go, fight, win, and they want you to.
That's right.
Because they're going to make money off your corporation or your business or your income, whatever. Yeah.
And the other thing I would have told myself when I was young is, don't be afraid to, one thing that I will tell you one of my regrets. I will tell you one of my regrets, because the regrets are where you knew something and you didn't take action, and you should have taken action because you knew it. Yeah. You can't have a regret on something that you didn't know. You're like, I wish I would have known about this and would have done it. I wish I would have taken action, right? Yeah. I wish I would have not been so shy about friends or girlfriends and things like that in high school or even in college, to an extent. Because once I got my confidence, I was like going out and hanging out, and I made a lot of friends and started dating girls. And I wish I would have done that at a younger age, because who knows what relationships I would have built out of that. Right. And then the other regret that I guess I have is with real estate. The thing about real estate is it's a little bit of a mystery, because it takes money to make money, right? Everybody wants to invest in properties like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Right. But come up with $50,000, $20,000, $100,000, like where?
How to understand where to get it from? Yeah.
Right. And even if you do borrow all that money, like that's a lot of risk, because if the market tanks like it does in 2008, you're upside down and you're not making money. So there's smart ways of doing it and not smart ways. But I wish I would have probably got my real estate license when I was before I even went to college. Yeah. I would have told myself, I was like, don't get so caught up on going to college, and just because it's going to give you a better chance to get revenue from an income that you're going to get 4 years later, 5 years later. Yes, was all that true? Yeah. And I'm glad I did it, and I don't regret college, because I had so many experiences there that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. But it's not the only path. Right. And I would have told myself, like, I'm all for kids taking a year off and trying to figure out what life is after high school, because high school does not teach you everything. There's not a system that, I don't think it's wise how we put everybody through college, because all you end up getting are a lot of kids who end up going to college, getting into some debt, and then they realize they want to go be a mechanic. Wish you were a mechanic school after high school, maybe, right? Exactly. So the faster you can figure out, the better. Once you get married and you have kids, it's going to
it makes it harder. I just read yesterday in a book, it said something about the secrets of the world class, and he says something that we've talked about today, and something we've learned is that failure is really a learning experience. He says, say to yourself for the next 30 days, I can't fail, I can only learn and grow. I said, that's it, just take the risks.
Yeah. It's very true. And then, there are times where like I wish I was like I would have been told I could have told myself all the shortcuts, which is what you do when you get a mentor or you listen to these books or you read these books or you listen to a podcast or you listen to a YouTube video. It should help you get some shortcuts. Yeah. But the reality is the key to the whole thing is this desire to learn. Yeah. And this desire to make yourself better and improve every day, little by little. Yeah. And so even though sometimes you do that with like studying inside and like pondering, like that whole concept that I came up with like for me to help understand how small I am to the rest of the world or the rest of the United States or the people I come in contact with. To have that drive, that initiative, you can't build that in anybody, right? And there's a special thing about that too, that like I want to go discover things by reading books or finding out things through YouTube. I don't know if I'm explaining it really well, but my whole point is this. If I gave everybody all the shortcuts and everything, they're not going to become me right away. Right? Because the only way I became me was by going through the experience. Yeah. Right? By wanting to learn how insurance works, by wanting to know how a mortgage works, right? I can't just be like, here's a package on how insurance works.
Everything you need to know.
There was something special about me, like not being taught that and going out trying to figure it out myself. Right.
Yeah. That's why experiences and failure are good because they do help us.
Yeah. There's something else that you're learning other than just the knowledge. Right. Trying to learn how to search. Yeah. Is powerful.
That's a big one. That's a huge one. I'd love to get into that concept. Maybe with the professor, someone who's really good at research. I would love to talk because that's big. To know how to identify truth when you're out there seeking that knowledge, because there's a lot of disinformation too.
Because it's kind of like the analogy of like working out, right? When I was a kid, I was so lazy, man. I love foods. I was chubby, right? And I used to think to myself, like, man, I wish there was a workout situation where you could like attach your body lens to a machine and it would just move for you, right? And then you don't have to move. And I didn't get the concept of like the fact that you've got to move your muscles and straighten them and work them to become stronger.
You need that resistance to get the reward.
Exactly, to get the reward. And this is the same thing. You can't just be lazy about it and be like, hey, here's all the secrets and good luck. Exactly. You got to learn how to search for things too.
There was a machine like that they created. Somebody in an interview talked about it. Oh, it was John Taylor Gatto, and he was laughing because he was like, what they don't realize is you're not getting any resistance.
That's super. But when I was a kid, I remember thinking, I was like, why don't we just create something like that?
Yeah, that's funny. Anyway. All right, so the last question, because I know you got to get out of here, is the $1 million question. What would you do with $1 million? How would you bless this world back with $1 million?
So with $1 million,
because it's not enough really to like do nothing for the rest of your life, but it is something maybe just to give back to or change your life. You can stop what you're doing, but I think you love what you're doing. So for you, that wouldn't really apply because I think you'd keep going, or would you? Would you do something else?
I think with $1 million, I would probably quit my job and probably focus more on real estate a little bit for a while. And then I could always come back to this. I will tell you, the thing that I do love about my job are the people I meet and the people that I get to learn from. Right? So for me, like, I do know the owner of these buildings right here. That's, to me, is fascinating because I want to know, like, how did you get those buildings? And what did you do to do that? And what do you do every day? And how do you act? Or I get to interview the guy who owns this shop, right? Or this coffee shop. Or I get to learn the people who are in the office buildings and get to see what they do and where they come from. Because they're all looking for loans. And if you want a loan from me, you got to tell me what it is that you're doing and how you're going to pay me back. So you got to tell me your whole story. So I do love that aspect of my job. And that is a fun job. So I know I would lose that if I didn't have this job, right? And that's not Capital Bank. It's just banking in general. Is what I enjoy. But I would probably do more real estate. But what I would try to create is something. I'm fine. I told my wife, Mary, I was like, I could live in my house for the rest of my life. I don't need the $1 million house or the $2 million house. I think almost a lot of those things are a lie that we tell ourselves.
Or it's a picture that's painted for us, and we're like, that's what I need.
So
I need
great.
college. I need this. I need that. I need a new car.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've lived in a big house, right?
Yeah.
And living in a big house is a lot to keep up with.
Yeah,
You live on a couple
absolutely.
acres, you
Yeah.
got to mow that lawn.
Yeah.
Unless you got a lot more money that's going to take
Then
care
you
of
can
that.
hire
You got a
somebody to take care
maid
of it.
or
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things.
sure.
But it takes a lot more. And, oh, by the way, you got to schedule that maid. You got to schedule. So I started
You
realizing,
gotta buy
like,
the furniture to fill it, the food, you know.
there is a concept that the minimalist movement
Right.
and that less is more, there's a lot to that.
Oh yeah, cool. Then you get more life.
You get more
Yeah,
like that. You
yeah.
get more time back. You get
Yeah.
more of that, hey, I want to sit down with somebody one-on-one and discover like
Things
what
that
you
you
do.
really care about. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what you care about.
Yeah.
So for me, I told Larry, I was like, we have 2,000 square feet like in space. There's 4 people. My kids each have their own room. They got to share a bathroom. You know what? There's good lessons that you learn by sharing a room. That's sharing
Yeah.
a bathroom.
Right.
And not every kid or every person needs their own bathroom. We got a master bathroom. We got a deck. We got a little bit of a backyard. There's certain things that, I would like a bigger kitchen. I like some more room to entertain. But for the most part, we have our basic needs. My whole point of what I'm getting to is that I have what I need, and I feel very grateful and blessed.
Yeah.
Right? So if I had $1 million today, I don't think necessarily I had to move into a bigger house or buy a bunch of stuff. To give back more is key, right?
Yeah.
So to me, what I would want is try to see, like, how could I take that money and put it into an investment, kind of like Rich Dad Poor Dad says,
Right.
so I can generate income that comes passive.
Yeah.
Because that passive income I could use to either sustain a life that I want, but also give to things and places where I think there could be more of that
Yeah.
to improve life.
And that's part of the life you want, is having enough to where the abundance you can flow other places.
One of the most beautiful stories that I ever heard, I think, is Tony Robbins' story. And sometimes I think he can come off, or it comes off a little arrogant, but when you listen to him more, like, you realize, no, he's not trying to say that. He talks about how he feeds people, right?
Yeah.
He feeds like 1 million people and 5 million people. He talks about where that came from. And where that came from was, when he was young, there was not always food on the table.
Right.
His father was drunk, and his
Absolutely.
mom
Yeah.
struggled, and he didn't know what was going on. And he actually physically felt that pain of hunger
Yeah.
at night. And so when he got 18 years old and he had some money in his pocket, he's like, I'm going to feed one family for Thanksgiving, or whatever it was, right? And then it was like 5 families the next year, and then 20 families, and now it's built up to a big organization. Now he's filling millions of people, right? But what he will never forget is that there was somebody who knocked on his door and gave his family food. And it wasn't the food that changed him. It was the fact that somebody, a stranger, cared. Because his father, his entire life, taught him that nobody cares for you, and nobody will give you anything.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, no, that's not true. People will give. And you
Yeah.
need to become like that person.
Yeah.
Like the gift of that person. And I think it ties into so much about religion and God and philosophy of spirituality and how we need to take care of our neighbors and be each other's keeper. But the other thing that I will say about that is I don't think it should be a forced thing, right? It should be an educational thing.
Right.
That's why when the government says, well, that's what government tries to do. It taxes you so we can give to the poor through welfare and all that. I was like, no, because that's the wrong way of doing it. Now you're
Right.
forcing somebody that's ignorant on how to give on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that works well. I think what works well is like teach the individual the spiritual laws of prosperity, and they'll give more.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's why God does not
Absolutely.
force us
I
to.
agree with that.
God
Yeah.
does not force us to tithe them.
Mhm.
The church does not say you have to give 10% in order to come through these doors.
Right.
This is free.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
free
teach
admission.
you. I will teach
But
you.
if
how
you
to
learn
give.
how to give, yeah.
And that's the way it should be done. And maybe most people don't have faith in it, but that's what holds back our world is fear.
Yeah.
Right? It's fear that people won't give.
Right.
And there won't be enough, and there's scarcity and all that. And I just don't believe in that. And I don't want to believe that. I think you build the world that you believe in, right?
Yeah.
And I want to believe that people are better than that, and that we can teach people to be better at that. So that's
Yeah.
why. Anyway, so $1 million, I would try to find as much recurring income, which to me right now, the best ones I know are real estate and food trucks. And I would try to get the best return on investment on that. So I could have maybe a little bit of a better lifestyle if that's what it takes, whether it's a nicer car or a little bit nicer home. But for the most part is to see what other places I could give more that are going to grow as well. I don't want to give it to things where things aren't going to grow, right? But I will tell you, like, I do have a cousin right now who is struggling because her child has cancer, right? And it's a financial strain because she now can't work in her restaurant or her shop, and now she's got to be with her child 24/7. The medical bills got to be extraordinary, right? With medical bills. So, and they were doing well, right?
Wow.
But now you have something like that happen to you, and I'm sorry, like, we love our children. We would die for our children. We would give every dollar in our bank account for our children.
Yeah.
And now it's causing so much financial stress. I would give something like that to them, right?
Yeah.
I would give them money, and I am giving them money, and I want to give them more. but I would give to those situations. And even though that's not a return on investment, right? But you don't know that because she could be the next Tony Robbins, right? Because they're special people too, and I don't know. And their son is super smart, and I don't know who affected. And I'm not doing it for that reason, but you never know what God has planned. Right? You give, and all of a sudden, her son, who is not the one that's sick, could see that and be like, "Wow, our family gave, our friends gave, our strangers gave to us, and that helped my family through this tough time when my brother had leukemia." And all of a sudden, that guy could change the world, and he could be the next Tony Robbins.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because they need it right now. But you never know what the result is. Right. My whole point is, when I give, I can't give on just return on investment.
Right.
I gotta give on the fact that like that's where it's needed and that's where it's wanted, and you never know how that'll grow. That to me is better than going buy a new BMW for $80,000.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because my car's already gonna take me ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gluttony, right? And one thing I'll leave you with is, Mary and I, we had some money come in from the flip of the property, and I started thinking, and we were like, we haven't taken a great huge vacation. And we were thinking about going to go see Dave Matthews. We had a great time at the concert,
nice.
and he's having a concert down in Mexico. And it's going to cost a few $1,000s, and I was like, man, that'd be great. We'll be on the sands of Cancun, on the beaches of Cancun, and get 3 days of concerts. And you know what? And I think the trip was going to cost $5,000 to $7,000.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we got that next
Let's do it.
Let's throw it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And then we said no, because is that really how should we be spending our money, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, that's gluttonous. Right?
Yeah.
For us,
be an awesome.
I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to
to
judge somebody else who does it. Because I'm talking about us, our family, and because if we did it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. If we could justify it to ourselves,
sure.
But we start looking at it, we're like, that's gluttonous, and we're not going to judge other people who do it.
Right,
we're like, awesome for them, because maybe they're at a point where they can still give and do that. But we're like, we told each other, we gave some money to my cousin. And I was like, we told each other, I was like, we could have gone to that and we're going to give it to our cousin, but that would have been tougher on our financials.
Right.
And we were like, we're so glad we didn't, because we're glad that we were able to give and still have some of that money in our bank account. And be like, we still feel good about it.
Yeah.
We felt really good about our situation. So you got to understand what's gluttonous and what's not.
Right.
So, anyways,
that's power, man. That's power.
I hope so.
We'll leave it like that. Appreciate your time, man. It's good catching up with you. We got to do some more, man. We're going to make this normal.
Yeah, man, I want to. I want to keep growing, and I know you want to keep growing.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing, and I can't wait till you figure it out.